Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Leanne and I like sharing budget-friendly DIYs with you here on this channel. If you're new, I hope that you consider hitting that subscribe button before you leave so that you don't miss out on my future videos. But let's get started with today's DIYs. We've got some quick and easy Dollar Tree DIYs. Let's go.
So for this first DIY, I have this pretty ceramic ball shelf sitter from Dollar Tree. I picked this one up because I thought it had a good amount of texture, and we're going to go in with some Waverly chalk paint in the color Silver Lining. There was at least 2 other different patterns, but on other people's videos I have seen even more, so definitely something to check out. I'm going to give this a couple coats of the paint in Silver Lining, just making sure we let it kind of dry in between so we don't pull the paint off of the ceramic material. And I'm just going to use my hairdryer to help dry that a little bit so that I could handle the other side. It did take about, I think 3 coats altogether. Now I will say that this did not come out quite as I had intended, but I'm leaving it in here anyway. I really thought this had more texture, but all those little ridges aren't as defined in like across the whole thing. But anyways, I go in with some Waverly wax in, I have a clear one, and I just tinted it with some chalk paint in the color Elephant and brushing it on and wiping it off. But because the ridges weren't as defined as I was kind of thinking they would be, it really just kind of stained the whole thing instead of just highlighting the ridges. So do with that what you will. I still do like how it came out, but I end up doing something else once we're done with this, just to give it the color and finish that I wanted. But I have tinted clear wax before, and it has worked well for me. I really just think this just didn't have quite as much texture. Either way, I have purchased these ceramic balls in the past and just painted them just a flat color, just so that it would be better with my decor, and it works great. So still something fun to pick up, but I'm going to dry brush some white paint as well. And I do like how it came out. I feel like it kind of looked a little bit like stone. So overall, I do like how it came out. It just wasn't what I thought it was going to be like, but that's okay. Sometimes that's how it goes. I will give you a finished look at the end of all of the DIYs. So for this next one, this is in the summer decor. It might be like the Seashore collection. I can't remember what it's called, but this is currently out at Dollar Tree. And I did make sure to find one that was pretty even because, sometimes they're a little lopsided. And then I have this black faux leather from Dollar Tree. I did want to give you a little peek at the different nautical signs, and I think they're pretty in and of themselves, but I don't do a lot of nautical or really any nautical, so we're going to make it over. When I saw the shiplap background, I thought this is a great farmhouse look, and like I said, I just looked for ones that were even and not lopsided because, well, let's be honest, sometimes the Dollar Tree signs have some imperfections. And I am just measuring out and cutting some squares of this faux leather to go across our sign. And I'm going to show you, I initially was trying to hot glue it, and I don't know if the hot glue, I don't think my glue gun had been on very long, and so it just kind of peeled off, and it's like the glue hardened immediately, which usually only happens if you use metal. So I let it heat up a little bit more, put it onto the high setting, and tried again. Sorry, my head keeps getting in the frame, and so it goes out of focus. And I'm trying to get better at noticing that when I'm doing these. And then I go ahead and put more on it, and I was like, it was a little bit bumpy, and I just didn't love it. So I just wanted to show this to you in case you do something like this similar and you want to just skip the hot glue scenario altogether, because then it just came off very easily, and I was like, okay, I'm going to be attaching something else on here, and I don't want it to come off. So I peeled it off, peeled off the chunks of hot glue. This was very easy to do, and we're going to start over again. If you are enjoying this video, please give this video a thumbs up. That helps me out so much, and it lets YouTube know that you like my videos, and they're more likely to share it with someone else, and it lets me know that you like my videos. So I'm going to go in with this glue. It's kind of like a tacky glue. I don't remember where I got it from. I don't usually use the nozzle because, well, it just gets clogged up. So I just put a bunch out there. I'm spreading it around with a toothpick, and we're going to smooth this out. and this worked out really, really good. The materials on the bottle that it said it used was a wide variety, so I figured it would work really good. And I went ahead and covered all of the squares with the leather squares. You can use any glue you've got though. Super glue gel would be another good option. That's what I was going to use until I saw this in my drawer, and it ended up working great. Hot glue could be used as well. Just keep in mind that it will make it a little bit bumpy underneath the faux leather material. So I let that dry, and while that was drying, I had pulled out some Scrabble letters, and a couple of them were faded, so I was just going over them with a permanent marker. I used a fine tip permanent marker, and I did it over all of them, even though they weren't all super faded, but just so they looked the same. You can see the K was particularly faded. I have seen these types of tiles at the Dollar Tree or other craft stores. This is from an actual old Scrabble game that I was going to get rid of. I think it was falling apart or something. And so I kept the tiles for myself and put them in my craft supplies. So I measured out on my squares here to have these even, and I'm just using more of that same glue to attach these, and I'm trying to get it on the edges, but I didn't want it oozing out the sides. And as I push it down, if it did ooze it out, I just kind of cleaned it up with my fingertip or my fingernail. It does dry clear anyway, but I did just kind of clean it up as I went. And I did put a little bit on the edges as I was laying the tiles together so that there'd be a little bit of glue in between the two of them. And I am making a sign for my guest bathroom, for our half bathroom. Downstairs, there's nothing in there at all, which is fine, but I thought this would be fun. So I am writing out, take a seat with these tiles. And that is all I'm doing for this one. For this last one, I picked this up at the Dollar Tree Plus section, and it was $3, but I picked it up when their Easter stuff was all 50% off, which was like a week or two before Easter. So I paid $1.50 for it, and I had checked it out ahead of time and realized, okay, the wreath comes off pretty easily, the welcome comes off pretty easily. I think I can redo this. So I'm just going to use the wire to pull the wreath off and to pull the welcome word off. Now, you may not be able to find this particular thing, but hopefully this gives you the idea that something you have around the house that you pick up on clearance somewhere, seasonal clearance stuff is great, something you pick up at a thrift store or a rummage sale, you can just use the bones of it and redo it for your own style. So I'm trying to use my hairdryer to melt the glue. The flowers were glued on pretty good. My hairdryer's heating element seems to have gone. So I think I'm going to have to actually get a heat gun. I was just using my old hairdryer. It still works to dry paint, but doesn't really help soften the glue. So I pulled the eggs and the flowers off, and I really had to kind of cut them off so I did cut off a couple leaves, but nothing that, really affected it in the long run. So I'm just going to trim that out and just kind of cut off the glue because it was glued on there pretty good. If you are new here, please consider subscribing before you leave. I enjoy sharing easy, budget-friendly DIYs here on this channel, and I would love it if you were a part of my YouTube family and subscribe. So here it is at the end, a couple a couple gaps, and I did lose a couple pieces of greenery that I will attach later. And I'm just going to show you my mindset. So first I thought I was going to use this lamb's ear. This was from Hobby Lobby. I got it on clearance for $1. I think it had pumpkins or something on it. It was falling apart. And I was going to just trim off some lamb's ear and fill that around. So I'm just kind of like placing greenery all over to see what I think. But in the end, I decided to dig into my stash and just pull out some greenery scraps that I think were boxwood. Some of that's boxwood from Walmart. I'm not sure. The other one, it looks similar, but it's a different green. So I don't know. But you can use greenery from the Dollar Tree or anywhere, really. And I'm just going to start sprinkling this around. Now I want to keep this piece pretty neutral. So I start by trying to hot glue, and I learned really quickly that I needed to just use some floral wire. I was hoping to hot glue because I figured it would be quicker, but it's not like the floral wire took forever or is hard. And I'm just going to wire that around, just kind of filling in this wreath. I like the different greens. It just kind of, I feel like looks a little bit more, I don't know, can you say natural? Kind of looks natural. I don't know. And I'm just going to fill in the gaps, cover up any unsightly pieces. I do use a little bit of hot glue to tack down some of the leaves here and there, but for the most part I did this with floral wire, which of course means I could easily redo this again in the future. But I kind of just wanted a neutral piece. This is going to be in my entryway somewhere. I don't have it displayed there quite yet, but yeah, so there I am, just using a little bit of hot glue to tack that down, just to try to tame the pieces a little bit. And that was it for the wreath itself. I thought that looked really nice. And then I wanted to do some additions to the welcome. So first my thought was to distress it. The stand for the sign, I don't know if you got a good look at it, has a little bit of like natural like distressed look on it. So I went over this with a little bit of black paint, and initially I really liked it, but I didn't leave it alone. So I kind of messed it up. This material, I thought it was going to dry quicker than it was, so I went over it with a little bit of white paint to try to soften it up, but it ended up just kind of smearing it, and I was like, oh gosh, what did I do? And I ended up going in with some white paint. So you can still see some of the black edges when I'm done, but I just kind of cleaned it up a little bit because I don't know, I didn't like the way it was looking. And the material just didn't dry as quickly as I thought it would, and I didn't check it first. So this is what I ended up doing, but I still really, really like it. And I didn't do super great at keeping any white off the edges. So here I am just doing a little bit of a rough dry brush around the whole thing. Just not that it's super visible, but just to kind of keep it in unison. And that's all for the DIYs. Let's take a look.
Alright, well that's going to do it for today's video. Once again, if you liked it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you are new here, please consider subscribing before you leave, and I will see you in my next video. Bye guys!